welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a tortoiseshell nail art tutorial for you. So welcome back guys, this is my tutorial on how I create tortoiseshell nail art using gel polish. I'm going to go right in and I'm going to start mixing up my base colour. So I'm using Halo gel and I'm using saffron, which is this lovely warm toned almost orange yellow, and I'm also using Conquer, which is a nice rich deep brown, and I like to mix these two together to get my first layer of colour. And then what I'm going to do now I've got that mixed is just go straight in the nice thin layer. I don't want this to be too opaque because this is just the base that we're going to start building up all the different shapes and colours on. So nice thin layer, and then we can pop that straight in the lamp. Okay, so now that one's cured, I'm going to add another thin layer of just saffron by itself. So a little blob of that onto my mixing palette, which I've got here. And just again, really thin layers. You can see that this is still really, really sheer. It won't be by the time we've finished, but just for the moment, we're just wanting to get a bit of a base on there. So now that's done, that can go back in the lamp. So now we've cured the base colour, let's start adding some dimension to this design. So to do this, I'm going to add a layer of base coat. You can use blooming gel as well for this part. It's just you want a nice slick layer on that nail so you can start adding some different patterns in. And I'm going to use, to start with, just a little blob of Halo Conquer or any dark brown that you've got. And again, like I said in my last video, you can use whatever colour combination you want when you're creating this kind of nail art. Part of the fun is playing around with different colours and finding out the style you like. So I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to start just dotting it about, just randomly on the nail. And it really doesn't matter where you place these, but I would leave a decent amount of space because this isn't going to be the only colour that we add in. And you can probably see now that slick layer of gel is doing exactly what I want it to, and the colours are starting to spread by themselves. So once you've got your first colour placement on there, you can just pop that in the lamp. These designs are so much fun to do because you don't have to be too careful with where you put in anything. It doesn't matter if it looks different on every single nail, that's part of the effect. So we're going to add a little bit of glitter in now, I think. This is completely optional. Some people don't like glitter in the tortoiseshell nails, but my name is Glitter Fingers, so I suppose I may as well live up to it. So I've got a little pot of gold leaf here. Some people use foil, some people use just a straight glitter, but I like the effect that the gold leaf gives. So I'm just going to put, and I don't want a huge amount, and again, it can be anywhere on the nail that you want it. Placement really doesn't matter with these designs. I'm going to keep it quite thin and flat. Put a little bit over this side as well. And then I'm not going to go straight in the lamp and cure. I'm just going to wipe my brush off. And this design's all about layers. So we're going to get another layer of base coat or blooming gel if you prefer. And just try not to move your glitter around too much. Pop that over the top. Keep that layer wet. And again, this is an optional stage, but I'm going to add a little bit of white in, just to add another dimension to this design. So I'm just going to get my little Nails striper brush. And again, all the brushes and products that I've used will be listed down below for you in the description box. And in that layer of wet base, I'm just going to add some little touches of white. And I'm just going to let that move around in the wet layer of gel. Give it a little bit of a hand where it needs it. And I don't want these lines to be too defined, so the way they're separating out here is quite nice. Add a little bit more where we've got quite a big blob of glitter. It's a very similar technique to marble nails or rose quartz amethyst sort of nails. It's just an extra stage, like I say, that I like to add in on the tortoiseshell. So I'm happy with how that's looking now. So I'm going to pop it into cure. Okay, so that to me is more of the base of the design. What I'm going to do now is add some more layers that have got a bit more definition to them, because you can see all this is quite blurry, quite messy, which is fine, which is great. You can carry on using those techniques if you like that kind of effect. But for me, with the tortoiseshell, I like to see these really strong patterns come through in the darker colours. So I'm going to go back in to the saffron, this lovely warm yellow, and pop a thin layer over the top of everything we've just done. And I'm going to leave that wet, and then I'm going to get some more of the conker, which is the dark brown. I'm also going to get a little bit of black on my mixing palette. And I'm going to go in with a dotting tool. So I'm going to use the thicker end of the dotting tool. And starting with the brown in that wet layer, I'm going to go and start just adding some blobs, keeping them all close together so they're just touching to build up some nice shapes on the nail. You can start going into that almost negative space that you've got in the more sheer areas of the design. And then flip my dotting tool over, get the small end. I'm just going to add fluff. If you watched my last video, you'll know my thoughts on fluff, how it likes to chase me. So back to what we're actually doing, just adding some smaller dots of colour in between as well. And again, this is slightly spreading around the edges, so it's more defined, but it's still blending nicely into the colours we've got on the nail. So I'm going to pop that in the lamp and move on to the next stage. So now I'm going to take a bit of black, and I'm going to use the same technique with the dotting tool, and I'm just going to go over the top of where I've just been with conker. I'm slightly going to offset it, just edging into the sheerer parts of the design. I'm going to need a little bit more than that. So I don't like to put too much black in these, because personally I don't like them to be really dark. It's just a case of playing around, seeing what you like the look of. Don't forget the sides of the nail. The amount of times I've got the placement all lovely on the top, and then I've sat down and looked at the sides of my nails and realised I've missed huge portions. And there's just sad, empty space, which we don't like. So, getting the smaller end of the dotting tool. Again, just adding a few smaller dots in there. Nice, easy, messy, fun design to do. I'm quite happy with that. I'm just trying not to end up with too much bulk on the sides. But we're going to go in and encapsulate all this with gel at the end, so it's not too much of a worry. So I'll pop that in the lamp. I feel like the method with this design is, if in doubt, add more layers. I'm not sure how many layers we're on so far. I don't know if anyone else has been counting. but we're going in again. So another layer of saffron. And again, keep it nice and thin. It's entirely up to you which colours you use. If you want a darker look, you can add a thin layer of conker or a dark brown, or you can mix the two together again. It's just up to you what kind of effect you're trying to create. I like the more yellowy toned tortoiseshell. To me, it's more traditional tortoiseshell. That's what I like, because I like to pair these with black or neutral colours, do them as an accent nail, which I'll show you how that looks at the end. So back in the lamp we go. Okay, so that's us all cured. You can probably see we've got a bit of lumpiness going on. Not a fan personally. So I'm going to grab my Miso strengthener, which is a nice thick clear gel. And again, you can use a builder in a bottle. You can use a couple of heavy layers of top coat if you don't have anything like that. Just a standard clear builder gel. I'm just going to add a nice thick layer to smooth that surface out. Get it nice and shiny. No lumps or bumps. That's not the look we're going for here. And again, you can turn the nail upside down, and that'll help pull the product up to the top of the nail. Give you a really nice shape. And then once you're happy with that, we can pop it in the lamp. Okay, we are on to our final layer, and that's our top coat. I'm using the Miso No Wipe top coat, one of my absolute favourite top coats to use. And you will have seen me use that in my Rainbow Opal Nails video. Lovely, shiny finish. Lost my words for a second there. So pop that in the lamp and then I'll show you the finished look. And here's the finished look. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please subscribe, give the video a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you think or what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.